I'll make you feel like you've never felt before.
God bless your hands.
Wait till you feel this.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
No, not...
I spit on your grave.
Scared you, didn't I?
What do you want?
It's you I want.
On your grave.
Okay, I find it really weird that there's a franchise that has been made out of I Spit on Your Grave. It's been remade, and then that remake has had 2 sequels and a prequel now.
Mm-hmm.
And,
well, the prequel, is that the recent one you're talking about?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I just know that it exists. I shouldn't speak for it.
Because I think you're talking about the direct sequel to this one.
Okay.
To the original. That's the one where it's 2.5 hours long.
I don't know. I have not watched it.
No.
The thing about I Spit on Your Grave, which a lot of the times works for a horror movie, is its blunt simplicity. A attractive young writer wants to have a little sort of personal vacation time to read and get inspired and do some work. And she is fucking brutalized by a bunch of guys, repeatedly raped, beaten, and humiliated by these fuckers, and basically spends the rest of the movie hunting them down and wreaking horrible vengeance upon them. And that is it. Mm-hmm. It was originally called Day of the Woman. It's sort of, I guess, like the director had this high-minded idea that it might be sort of some sort of feminist death wish type of thing, but in the end of the day, I think what this movie is about is watching this woman first be tormented and then celebrate the violence of her vengeance. And it appeals to every kind of dark corner of the psyche of the horror audience, and to me in a way that doesn't make me feel good for having watched the movie.
No, there's not a lot of fun to be had with this one.
Zero fun. And I mean, the subject doesn't call for any fun. I mean, I would be more upset with the movie if it did, like the Last House on the Left, where there, or what was that, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, where all of a sudden they had these weird comic moments that they threw in the movie for no reason at all. I think they thought they were breaking the tension, but all they were doing is just being disrespectful for what had preceded. I think that there's some interesting choices, like the fact that there's almost no score to the movie. Kind of adds to like a weird, calm, disturbing element. Like, it does feel like you're just lakeside somehow witnessing this horrible shit because that artifice is stripped away. And this sounds weird to say out loud, but I'll say it. Just the sheer amount of screen time that our main character is stark naked in the movie kind of wears away at you. Like, it takes the power away from it after a point, and becomes... I repeatedly sort of had this scowl on my face and was asking myself, what am I watching? What am I watching? What am I watching? And so at the end of the day, no, I did not have fun with this, and I don't know who I would recommend it to.
Well, you can't see it, but I've been nodding.
Yes.
Pretty much. I'm nodding in agreement to everything you're saying. Getting back to you said there's no score really to the film.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That sort of adds to the realism, I guess, and maybe the uncomfortableness of it, where maybe you might feel like it's not a movie, you're just like sad watching this. And it's really ugly. The thing is, I wonder if there's much to, if we're going to say much about it, because there's really not much to say. Well, there's stuff to say, but there's not much to the actual movie itself. I mean, you're right. It's four guys, right?
4 guys in total, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're all shitty men, and they just attack this woman unprovoked, completely unprovoked, and they drag her through the woods, beat her, rape her, chase her through the woods, sodomize her, rape her again, follow her home where she's beaten again and then raped with a bottle and
It goes
then left for
on
dead.
and
And
on.
this takes up half of the movie.
Yeah.
Where there's no break in between, and you're right, she's naked the entire time, and it's not pretty naked. It's dirty, bruised, bloody, and the director lingers. He lingers on those long shots of her just crawling away naked, and it's not. In his credit, it's not sexual at all. Where I don't think you can say they're glorifying the rape.
No,
but
not
still,
at all.
They're still. You know?
But it does go on, and it is the only reason that the movie exists. Now, apparently, he and this actress were falling in love at the time. They eventually ended up getting married. There was obviously a lot of trust between the two of them, as there would necessarily be. They ended up getting divorced eventually, but you'd have to have a lot of trust in that director in order to put yourself through that. You'd have to be a very brave actress, and I'm going to give her credit for going there. That cannot be an easy thing to do. Where it gets really even more distasteful, this was originally called The Day of the Woman.
Yeah, well, I think it's just, is it just AKA Day of the Woman? Is that part of the title? Or?
In order to get it distributed, he was having a real hard time finding a home for this movie just because of how ugly it was. He had to make a deal with this distribution company, and part of that deal was that they could change the title.
So they could give it this fake title where they pretend it's empowering.
Exactly.
To women? Yeah.
Well, and I think he would argue that he was trying to do that, but I think at some point the exploitation did take over.
For sure.
And by the time she's getting her revenge on these guys, I'm I guess glad that she's getting revenge for these guys, but it has this weird inevitability. We know that she's going to get her revenge. We know that all of these guys deserve what's going to happen to them, and it's not going to undo anything that we've seen. It's not going to, unbreak her. She's now become this multiple murderer, this victim. And if, this sort of Dexter or Punisher version of empowerment is how we're going to approach the feminist slant on this, no. I would argue that this is not a feminist movie. There's a great book. I hope I'm saying this right. If not, I guess I'll correct it. I think it's... I'm sorry, what I meant to say was Men, Women, and Chainsaws, Gender in the Modern Horror Film by Carol J. Clover. That's the book I'm trying to reference here. That's what I get for going off the fly like that. Female empowerment in horror movies, and how even though there's a perception that women are always victimized, that if you look at them plot-wise, typically the most powerful character in a horror movie is a woman. And that there's an alternate case to be made. But the entire book is almost underlined with how much time they spend on this movie. Because in this particular case, I disagree. Whether or not the intention was there, I think we could talk about, but I would say that they failed in making this a female empowerment movie. Utterly.
When she gets her revenge, she still uses sexuality as her main weapon.
Yeah.
It's kind of right there. That's not the way, if you're going to be empowering women, that's not the way you should be using her main weapon. Nothing enjoyable happens at all in this movie until the bathtub scene.
Right.
I mean, when you see that scene and what happens on it, that is a little bit...
it is a fitting revenge,
But still, what leads up to it?
Yeah.
She goes and seduces the guy. Here, let me run you a hot bath. Brings him home. There's a prolonged naked scene where they're just talking to each other in the tub, and I just don't think this is how she would get her revenge. It's effective when she cuts his dick off in the tub and leaves him screaming to bleed out, but.
And I think every man in the world, even though we hate this character, at some part of us is going to blanch at the idea of having her dick off. But if ever a character deserved it.
No, you don't feel bad at all for him.
No.
And arguably, I think that's probably the climax of the movie.
Right. Because
he's the main leader of the bad guy group.
Yeah.
But there's still two more guys that she has to
deal with.
Kill, just as a matter of doing it. But
One of them tried to play the sympathy card too. I'm not such a bad
Yeah,
guy. I've got a family. And I'm like, really?
Oh, that was the main bad guy,
Yeah,
Johnny.
yeah.
And we meet his wife 90 minutes into the movie. For some reason, we're introduced to a new character. I love that. No real reason. It's like, oh, now we gotta meet this lady. And I listened a little bit to. Yeah, that's right. So we're talking about the sexuality she uses to plot her revenge. Even the handicapped guy, she lets him have sex with her and waits until he's almost finished, and then she kills him.
Why?
I do not know.
Why?
Is it just so we can see her naked again?
I mean, but again, we'd seen enough. Like 30 minutes into the movie, we'd seen enough, and there was a lot more movie to go. I fall back on my ancient argument. Who is the movie for? I don't think it's for feminist. Appreciators. It's not going to sell a feminist on the horror genre. In fact, I would say it's the opposite of that. I would say that Slumber Party Massacre is a much more feminist horror movie than I Spit on Your Grave. But yeah, I don't get off on the vengeance that much. I'm already worn out by the movie, and there's something inevitable about it. She's going to get her vengeance. They're not going to roll credits on her being buried in the forest somewhere, right?
Well, there's a moment in the film, it's the second rape, where she's bent over the rock.
The second rape, yes.
Yeah. I mean, when she's being raped in that scene, she lets out possibly the most shrill scream in horror history. And it's at that point when you really, if you don't already, you don't really feel like, why am I watching this? Why am I watching this? Well, the reason I'm watching it is because my friend has a podcast and I have to finish this. But other than that, you don't feel good about yourself for watching this. There's no soundtrack. It's just screaming. And it's, I mean, I can't imagine there's guys like that out there. There probably is, but the idea of holding someone down while your friend has his way. I mean, I don't want to be around doing that. It's just so. I think that's what makes it worse. Is all these naked guys butts around it.
Well, and I'm not saying that there's not reality to evil men and obviously abuse of power and men and women. Obviously, that's a very real thing. But there's something dopey about these guys that takes away from their reality. The fact that they would think that this woman would actually be seducing them after they subjected her to that makes them so stupid as to lose any credibility, right? But we put up with it because at this point we need to see some vengeance taken on her behalf.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I didn't enjoy it. I can't imagine a scenario in which I would watch it again. I don't understand or agree with it being a significant, quote, horror movie. I think the thing that makes it memorable is that it's as ugly as you would imagine it being. If ugly is what you're looking for, this delivers that. But that is all.
Yes, I know Siskel and Ebert tore this one apart.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I wrote down a quote. I was listening to some of the commentary on it just to get other insight on it, and I think they call it sick, reprehensible, and attending this movie was the most depressing moment of my life.
Ouch.
And I don't know. It's fair. I mean, at least they did not show it as an erotic thing.
Right.
They're holding her down. There's a lot of close-ups of the men's faces while they're doing it, and they're not. They're not pleasant close-ups, and a lot of man butt. But I don't know. There's probably a percentage of people that are into that kind of thing, maybe for the wrong reasons. But I don't know. These prolonged sequences are pretty disturbing.
It's scarring, and I guess in that way it is effective on your psyche in that you kind of feel like you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
But that does not make it a good movie.
There's sort of like a subgenre of movies, these rape revenge type films, and this one's got, like you said, 3 sequels. And I just looked it up. It's I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, and it was just released, I think, straight to video, and it's a direct sequel with the same cast.
Ugh.
And for some reason, it's 2.5 hours long.
I'm not interested.
90 minutes of this is hard to get through. This kind of film should not be 90 or 2.5 hours. I can't imagine a time when I would want to sit there for 2.5 hours watching that.
No, one and done, thanks.
There is Let me see, I wrote something on here. There's a more recent film called Revenge. Have you seen that?
I have not. I know it by its reputation, though.
It's, the same idea. It's a rape revenge film,
Yeah.
but that one is miles more entertaining than this. It's, I will recommend that film.
Right. I've heard a lot of people say good things about that. I'm almost never in the I'm almost never in the mood for a rape movie. You know?
It's not, you know what I'm in the mood for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one, it's, you got to let reality kind of go at certain points, but that one you can't wait to see the guys get what's coming to them.
Yeah.
This one, you just can't wait for it to be over.
Agreed. Well said, brother.